So today it's my absolute joy and my honor to welcome Sand and John Symes to the Conscious Evolution Summit. Really, my heart goes to you.
Thank you.
And I will read a short introduction about you, Seth, because we kind of focus today on what you offer to the world. Sand is the founder of Rise as She, a global community of conscious women who are connected to all life and are bringing their voices powerfully into the world. As a modern medicine woman, shamanic practitioner, spiritual teacher, certified coach, former social worker, and intuitive healing guide, Sand's work is devoted to igniting the emergence of women's voice, the voice of the feminine, which has never been more critically needed on this planet than now. And I'm really looking forward to hear you. And just in our little conversation before I pressed the recording button, John was just with us and holding so beautifully space for us. And the three of us, we just had this feeling we want to include John. So maybe you share a bit about where you are coming from and what passion do you have to share with the world and to now be in this conversation with us.
Thank you. Thanks, Puria. I think what I would say would be in complement to what you just said about sand. And one of the ways that I identify most clearly in the world at the moment is in supporting the work that Sand's doing and the goal that she's working towards, which is the elevation of the voice of the feminine. And then if I had to tell you how I got there, that would be a very much longer story. Because there's been a time in our relationship when it seemed as if the work that I was doing had more prominence, and Sand, you were hugely supportive, and we met first through the work of the Pachamama Alliance here in California. And I worked there for 8 years and enjoyed taking their message around the world, a message that's really a call to the hearts of human beings everywhere to see how we can contribute to a sustainable and just and spiritually nourishing world. So I've done that work. And now, by strange twist of fate, we don't need to dive into in detail, but here I am in the space of supporting the feminine and reconfiguring what it is inside of me as a man, inside of our relationship, to do that, and beginning to explore what it takes for men generally to be in a space where the feminine can flourish. Yeah.
So I want to thank you to be that spontaneous and jump into this adventure with us together. So I really appreciate that, John.
Well, I'm privileged that you would even entertain the idea. So thank you.
And Sand, I mean, how did it come that you are now an instrument in really bringing forth these feminine qualities on our planet, in this world?
I think it started when I was a little girl, really, Puria. Family of 5 children in the northwest of England. Very humble start and humble beginnings of life. And as a little girl, I was able to see and read energies around the world, around people. I had a very, very open and empathetic space around me that I could pick up feelings from people. I knew when my mum was sad. I knew when my dad was angry. I knew when my brother was happy. But more than just knowing it through a smile on a face, I could feel that energy and I could see the world. At that time in my life as a little girl, I could see the energies of consciousness around, and how it would move, and the human part of us. But I didn't know that as a little girl. I didn't know what was happening. And that lasted for the first 7 years of my life. And as any spiritual journey, I guess, at one point that became dangerous at that time in my life, because I saw a little boy that had passed over that was playing with us, and his mum, when I was sharing that experience, that, oh, this little boy was on the street playing with us, the mum got very upset with me, and my parents got very upset with me. Nobody could understand that I could see a image of a being that had passed. So I got in a lot of trouble for that. So that got shut down. So my ability to be able to pierce the veil, as I now know those words, to really connect strongly to the unseen realms, closed down, really to, I guess, to keep me safe. So my empathic sensibility didn't change, but the visuals changed. And for all of my life, I've been the one that would help a friend here. I would know when somebody was upset over here, and I could find somebody who was in pain over here. So wherever I went, it seemed that life put me in these places with friends and people in my family that were in some discomfort or suffering, for me to be there, to just be, to hold a space for them, and really bring through a different sense of possibility, a different sense of looking at the world. And so no surprises that I ended up training as a social worker. I really wanted to make a big difference in the world. And that door, when that door opened, predominantly opened a door to women and children were the biggest community members that we work with in social work. And again, I got to see how suffering and the cycles of the abusive cycles that we were looking through the lens initially through social work, but something else started to come in. So, and what I hadn't realized at the time, it was life was kind of knocking up my door again, saying, open your eyes differently, look at this differently, go wider now, go deeper now than just the portal that I've been trained in as a social worker to look at marginalized group of people. And it became so clear that there was an imbalance of the masculine and feminine inside of the woman, or inside of the man, inside of the child. We were so out of balance in such a huge way that I started to look through the lens as a social worker. I had my social worker hat on, but I was being given, life was opening up that portal again for me to see how really life was operating on the earth with this imbalance of the masculine and feminine. And from that place, when we arrived in America 14 years ago, John and I were very, very blessed to take a visit into the Ecuadorian rainforest, and where we met some of the most humble and powerful, beautiful indigenous wisdom keepers of the rainforest, who also pointed out, it was the first time I'd ever had a sacred mirror, a strong sacred mirror of somebody that said to me, you're a medicine carrier. Why are you not using your medicines? You can see, you're a seer. You see the way that the world is. You see what they would call Arutum, which was the spirit of the rainforest. You see through those eyes. You carry the energy of Arutum. Why are you not using your medicines when you're a medicine woman? So that was a deep validation. It was a very powerful moment in my life, because I kind of knew I'd carried this medicine for a long time, but a lot of my own unworthiness had blocked me from ever claiming that. And now it was the time to really fully claim these medicines that they're not mine. They were given me by the universe, by God, by spirit. So, and that was another moment. Another teacher had said to me, a beautiful, powerful Peruvian teacher said to me, it's not yours. The medicines aren't yours. So you need to get out of the way and let the universe work through you. And there's a beautiful term in shamanic practices called hollow bone. And if you really want to be a connector for life to work through you in that way, then let this vessel be a hollow bone. And that has been a journey for 25 years, hollowing this bone out, initially through personal development, and then very quickly into more of a spiritual field of, I see the personal development was the first door that I opened to have a better life, for my children, to have a better life for myself. And very quickly that didn't turn me on very, very deeply or widely. But when I started to hear more of the spirituality of, I know that I can use my life in service of other people's lives on this planet to really have them see where all of this, where all of our patterns and programs really come from, not just from a personal development or an inner child place, which that work is very important, very powerful. But even beyond that, it comes through our ancestral lines that were passed down from generation to generation to generation. And I was deeply seeped in that model of looking at the world through social work, of the cycles of abuse through generations and generations. I hadn't fully understood at that point the ancestral line. And when that came in, that my whole world shape-shifted and opened. And then the work that I was doing predominantly at that time, and still is with women, I could see and feel the energies that they carried, and of the trauma, their ancestral trauma in their body, and still that they were still operating somehow from that place that that didn't even know they were carrying, but had been passed on from generation to generation. And that work, when I started to do that work, and then working with plant medicine with Pachamama herself, she started to open up the fields inside of me in the most powerful and profound ways. That really, it changed my life forever.
Thank you so much for really taking all of us into your life so openly, showing yourself vulnerable and just honest. And I resonate to almost everything what you said, because I could have shared a very similar story. How it showed up in my life and how the journey was. And I'm just curious because I noticed, especially when I encountered the shamanic work, this was also really a big changer in my life, and in being initiated in their worldview and in these teachings and into energy and frequency work, I, the first time in my life, had this sense, now all my skills make sense. Before I would have said, oh, those are difficulties, or they make my life difficult. I can't do this, I can't do that. I'm that sensitive, or I get everything. But when I was introduced in that possibility to give those skills and the seeing and all of what you shared in service to humanity, the first time I felt, this is why I'm here. Now I'm used as an instrument. I just would like to share this moment a bit more, because I really sense this is something many, many people are in, or are just a tiny step before, or maybe went through also. So yeah.
Puria, I feel whoever is watching this now, they have all got an experience, all of your audience now, which really is a representation for this world. So there are, 7 billion souls on this planet right now. And if we had a moment to reach out and be with them soul to soul and listen to their story of their life that got them to that point where we had that moment of sitting, looking in the eyes of another soul and really listened, we would hear in their story, our story. That moment when they didn't feel, that they weren't good enough, that they weren't strong enough, that they didn't have the skills, the qualifications, the body image, the right family, the money, the health. We weren't born in the right place. We weren't born in the right country. I didn't have the same opportunities as you. All of these different places in our life that we believe a story that's not true. And there is a moment for, I feel that, and that's certainly in the work that I do, that when I sit and listen, and that's all I do is sit and listen to somebody tell their story, just like you're doing now, is helping us tell our story and listen to the pain and suffering of their story, but knowing that in those moments of there's like an aha, every one of those parts that they've shared that is a pain point or a suffering point is shape shifting them to be who they are right now. But we don't always get the opportunity to have somebody in our life to be a sacred mirror to point that out and reflect that back and say, I know that was so hard for you, and I trust me, I've had so many pain points in my life where times in my life I didn't think I would ever get off the floor again. And part of me didn't want to get off the floor again. It was so painful, those moments in my life. And I feel that those pain points, I understand them now, that I can see them and hear them so deeply in another sister or brother sharing. And then I can say, I've walked in my version of your shoes. And please, I know that whatever's happening for you right now, no matter how painful it is, life is giving you this moment in your life. It's like a re-choose. You get to re-choose. Do you carry on with the story that we tell ourselves? And I had a very strong victim story mentality in my life for a long, long time, that had me be scared of men, be fearful of men. They were going to hurt me, or I was going to get hurt or overpowered, and I had thought I had to fight and shout to get my voice, or have it's like I have to fight to be heard. So I carried a lot of anger and fire in myself, and I didn't realize at the time that all those pain points in my life with men, starting with my first, the first man in my life, which was my dad, was shape-shifting me so I could really understand the pain of woman when she's in a relationship with man, when it's an unconscious relationship, that she feels she has to fight. And I've seen that story get told thousands of times with women that I've worked with, either as a social worker or as a modern medicine woman, or as a healer, intuitive guide. Or it doesn't matter what hat I was wearing. There is a choice point for all women that when we tell our stories of pain, there's a moment when we can drop the cloak of being the victim of that pain and use that pain to shapeshift into something more powerful, and use that story, use that pain point to stand in a more powerful place of, I understand now why that happened. I understand more that I can use this pain to know that we can find our voice as women in a different way. We don't have to be in a fight with somebody. We don't have to find that we can. I've got a lot of fire, but I've had to find where my water is as well, the fire and water that we carry inside, So as a sacred mirror, I didn't have a sacred mirror for a long time back at me. So I was flailing and trying to find my way. I burnt people with my fire, got drowned in my own stories of being a victim in my own sacred waters, until the shamanic practitioner world opened up to me, and I could understand that way of hollowing the bone, shape-shifting the story I tell myself, being utterly, utterly grateful to find this man, to have life find this man who is a man that could meet a woman with her fire and her pain and work with that in a conscious way, that now this man is basically giving his life to find, for women to find their voice, the power of their voice, the power of their story, in a different way on this earth, that we can bring balance back onto this planet of the masculine and the feminine. And the way that the life has found it for me is to help women find the feminine essence inside of them, which is to find their voice and find the power of the way that a woman expresses her voice on this earth when she's gone through that place of the fire in her belly, which is, in my world, the fire in her belly is deeply buried in her uterus, which is where we carry life, the uterus, the womb, and knowing that life itself is pulsating through her in the woman identifying woman gender body of the female gender body. We know in our bodies how to carry life. Whether we ever have a child, it's bigger and deeper than that. But this physical body knows how to carry life. So deeply inside of the woman, she knows, therefore, how to care for life. And we've been so shut down in that area of our body for the history of centuries and centuries of oppression by the patriarchal, food chain, of white, privileged, heterosexual man at the top of the food chain. And we've lived and we've been buried in that patriarchal system. So my understanding of what's happening in the world now is life has paused to ask us a powerful question of re-choosing. How do you want to re-choose now in the time in our history that we've never had in our configuration of our history of this humanity? How do you want to re-choose the direction you want to go in? And for women, do you want to keep carrying that you are a victim of circumstance, or do we want to find the pain points in our life to stand up more fully and stand and find a powerful voice of saying no to anything that is against life? No to the wars on this earth, no to child poverty, no, we're not going in that direction anymore. And find the no that every woman has wanted to find against life at some point in her life, but didn't feel she had the rightful voice, or the right color of skin, or she wasn't born in the right tracks, or she wasn't born in the right place. All the ways that we've got buried in thinking that we didn't have a rightful place on this earth to have a voice, we're now finding our voice on this earth in a powerful place. To bring, not to crush the man and bound, not to, you did this to me. We all have a story inside of us somewhere that we could say that, but not from that place. It's let's find what happened there and balance that out. So to reach out to the man and say, we can't survive without you. You can't survive without us. And let's be this bird of humanity, of having two powerful wings of the masculine and the feminine, and have this bird of humanity fly in the sky together. And that's going to take some work for the women and for the men to find that balance. But I know it's possible. I know that that's the direction that we're going in. Mm-hmm. I've seen that in the work that I do, watching women shapeshift their stories of being, the pain stories of being a victim, to dropping that cloth of being a victim now. As you're not a victim now as a woman, you have a moment to re-choose. and use the pain of your story to be in service of life.
Thank you for sharing that. And what just came to my mind, what I kind of want to have a deeper look at, because I often sense, especially in relationship, that when we are, let's say, we are facing an issue where you could say that's a challenge, that has a conflict, atmosphere around, and when we are able to not go really into that story and not really go into taking it so personally, we often can see that it's a much, much bigger issue in whole society, where we are just kind of playing out something. And I always notice, when we realize that moment, what we are then embodying and moving through and choosing to deal differently with it, I sense the healing ripples into almost all humanity coming just out through us, from one person, one couple into the field. And it's a much bigger healing ripple effect than just myself or the two of us. And I would like you to share maybe your experience in that's kind of a much bigger perspective we can also have when we are able to be present in that way.
Yeah. It's if we called it the web of life, one of the most beautiful wisdom keepers, Chief Seattle, had the very famous quote and vision and truth-telling, and those moments of his words on this earth when he said, whatever we do to ourselves, we do to the fabric of life, to the web of life. And that's exactly what you just said, Puria, is whatever is happening inside of this little microcosm of the single person here, or even in our own coupledom, and that everything we're doing is in service of life. It somehow it touches 7 billion souls at that time, and that can sound really audacious. How on earth can one person touch 7 billion souls? That's such an audacious statement to make. And yet somehow, as you've seen and you've felt, Puria, also same over here, is in our marriage, if this was just about Sand and John, and just two people going through a marriage and that's all it was, that feels too small. It feels too small. And we've been in our marriage of this, having the marriage be a vehicle of whatever is happening and healing in our marriage. Somehow we know that it's healing every woman and man, or masculine and feminine inside of the individual, and somehow is repairing the web of life, repairing the healing field for 7 billion souls on this earth. And when we hold it in that way, it's so much, we can get off our stuff so much more quickly, because it's like there's a bigger problem, there's a bigger vision, there's a bigger mission than just two people in a relationship that can move in a very self-centered or self-absorbed way. If we can somehow be a sacred mirror for anyone at any one time, to say, whatever's happening to you, you are a microcosm of the macrocosm. Whatever's happening out there, that the world stopped, we all, 7 billion souls, got an opportunity to stop and breathe together, and to shapeshift and recalibrate and re-choose on what we wanted and re-choose what we no longer wanted. And I felt that was one of the most, it's been one of the, well, it is the most powerful sacred mirror moment, that we were all in this together and we all felt it somehow, even though we didn't go out of our houses. We somehow felt through the internet that we could see and feel each other going, that person felt the same way as I did. Oh my God, this person put a post on this social media saying this, or I saw a documentary and oh my God, that person felt that too. So all of a sudden, I honestly felt that this web of life, for the first time in our history, felt each other coming together. And you're feeling this pain. Oh, I feel it over here. Oh, this was joyful for you. I felt this too. We got to see and feel for the first time in our history that we are all interconnected, that we all matter, that we all feel the same pain, and we all have the same we're all connected to this web of life, but we are different. And I just got a little nudge here to mention the differences, because those differences that we bring to this earth bring such a rich tapestry of our humanity that I feel one of the deepest pains in our collective has been when we have not embraced differences on this earth. We've not embraced differences of woman, man to woman. We've not embraced differences of culture. We've not always embraced differences of tradition. We've not embraced differences of different color skins. And we have had this, we're in this pain point now of, through the Black Lives Matter movement, of enough of not seeing people on this earth and the differences and the majestic differences that they bring of a way of being, of a way of living on this earth that is part of the richness and the diversity of this fabric of life. And we've caused a lot of pain on this earth by not embracing differences. And when we have not embraced differences, it's separated from, we've separated ourselves from each other, from ourselves, from the earth. And that has been the deepest pain of all, when we've separated ourselves and made ourselves so small just by not keeping and maintaining this interconnectedness of life, has caused the deepest pain inside of our hearts more than anything else, is separation. In every layer of separation, it's so painful.
Yeah, I'm really grateful that you are bringing that and addressing that and sharing it so beautifully. And what I just want to kind of, let's say, summarize what I hear from you is this two polarities where we are in our essence and in our substance and what is animating us. We are fundamentally sameness, and to recognizing that, acknowledging that, and yet on our outer appearance and in our skills and our contributions, we are so diverse and so many differences. And how rich is that? I mean, I just had this two images. One is of a bunch of flowers with so different beauties, and then I had an orchestra with many different instruments. I mean, how boring would an orchestra be with just one kind of instrument? So yeah, so I want to highlight these two polarities, the sameness inside as this substance animating, and then this outer expression in its diversity. And if we could just hold that, because often I sense we tend to or we think we need to choose one side or both, but we can expand so much that we can hold both polarities, and in that, I guess, a lot of healing and a lot of possibilities would there, and a much more harmony. And in this moment also, John, I would like to bring you in, and I would like to hear really your perspective from really, I sense you like a container for this movement happening and for the two of us women sharing their experience. What would you say is is supporting you as a man when we women really accept ourselves and find our voice and our expression? How does that support you in you being a man?
There are so many layers to this that I'm still trying to discover all of the different layers of this in me. And some of them are representative of many other people, and some of them are unique to me. And I grew up inside a white skin, and I had a benefit of an education and the ability to get work and earn money, and carried a lot of what I now know to be privilege for a long time without understanding that's what it was. And that privilege, the privilege that we carry as men, and certainly my part, I'll own it in me, I suspect it's true for many men, is the privilege to not need to worry about other people. It's the privilege to be able to concentrate on how my world is and allow other people to come into my world almost on my terms. And I'm sure as two women listening to me, you completely identify with that men can walk in the world in that way. And then I have to share that I've learned this extraordinary thing through sand, which is that if and when I pay attention to her feeling safe enough to express herself, and I want to say those two elements seem to me to be important. There's a place of safety to find, and then an expression is possible from there. And when this woman feels safe and can express herself, the love that comes back to me is, well, I couldn't really compute it. I had no way of. It's like it was like it was a whole new experience that arrived. It arrived inside the container of a loving relationship, and I hadn't seen that in any part of my. Nothing in my upbringing or education had really trained me to know that if a man is capable of playing that role, that you get access to a whole new dimension in which that love comes towards you. And then what I found, what I was challenged to do was challenged by the situation, not challenged by Sand or any person, but challenged to reciprocate that. So it's like you've entered a different world in which there is an abundance of love to be shared, not a pie of love to be cut up into pieces and parceled out. So it's quite a learning. And so, and then I would hate to think that I am speaking as if I've mastered the art of being that safe place. Because I haven't. There's a lot of training gone into having me operate in the world as a white man, and a lot of unlearning still to do about that. And it's funny, for years I've focused on different issues that seem as if they contribute towards us finding a new harmony as a human family here on the beautiful planet that supports us. And it's as if over years I've been led to see that this is almost like, I don't want to call it the primary issue, but such a fundamental issue, that the feminine is alive and pulsing and contributing to its voice, its wisdom, its unique perspective into the culture, into the decision making, into the way we live in a household, and the way we live in a city, and the way we live in a country, and the way we live in the world. Yeah, I think I might have gone off track from your question. I don't know.
It's fine. And I just noticed that what makes me curious now in this point of our conversation together is, I would like to walk us really to the edge of what we know, and then the edge of what we don't know. And when we are moving there, as women, as men, as a couple, and when we are standing there and facing towards the future, what potential, what atmosphere do we kind of sense where we are not there yet, but we notice something calling us, pulling us, and maybe trying to find words what this magnetic attraction we are then in. How do you sense it? What do you notice there? And I know it's a challenge, and I know it's maybe not so easy to put in words, but I just would love the three of us moving there, because I just know we have this capacity, and I know we share this curiosity, and I know we dare to face the unknown. And I also know that we can take all the viewers in our audience also towards the edge, and really dare to sense maybe this notion of nervousness when we go there, this notion of maybe a bit of getting weak knees, also sensing this magnetic pull, because there is something which pulls us. And yeah, I just invite you to share what you notice when we go there.
I think we have all just been through and are still in that place, Puria. The world paused only a few weeks ago and sent a ripple of uncertainty, the energy of uncertainty, all around the world. In the microcosm of the community, the Riser community, the women needed to come. We would only meet 3 times a month, and we were meeting up to 8 times a week. So we opened our doors through Zoom to have a place for the women to come to. It was like they were being held. We were being held in a collective womb to share. What is it feeling like for you? Where in your body are you feeling uncertain? Where are you in this place of unknown? And we shared stories, and we started to hear us sharing another sister. Oh, I thought it was just me. So there became a normalizing of the unknown, which then had this beautiful energies of confidence that started to emerge, because again, we were in this together. We weren't isolated. Yes, we were in shelter at home or lockdown. We were in our own homes, but we could still connect. We still found a way of connecting with each other. And in that storytelling, what we were able to do is like, when did you last feel uncertain? What did it feel like? How did you move through that phase when you were uncertain and you were facing fear? What pulled you forward? So the stories of hope started to emerge. The stories of inspiration started to emerge. There was still a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear. Women were losing their jobs, their livelihood. Some women had to experience the beloved, a parent or a sibling or a dear friend passing over, and they weren't able to be to get into a car or on an aeroplane and go and be with them in the physical space. There was a depth of grieving of what once was that they weren't able to access anymore. So we had to find a new way of still having a place of the grieving to happen. It just it didn't have the same four walls as it had looked like in the past. And then sharing those stories of so we kept sharing, we kept coming together, and it was almost like we started to move together as a collective to the next place and the next place. And then we remember it clearly where there was a couple of shares of, I feel grateful for that this is happening. So we started to bring in the medicine of gratitude. So that helped us to move. And then, so it was, I felt we were like a jellyfish, the jellyfish in the water. It was like that. She didn't have form because she was moving so much, but she was moving together. And then another jellyfish but we started to mirror each other and find a collective place. Our fear stories came together, which alchemized into hope, because we all could tell the stories where we'd felt a deep place of uncertainty in our life before. What did we have to pull on? What did we have to find? Where was the trust? Where was the faith? Where was the friend? There's something that helped us to get through that. And that helped us to find a different level of faith, a different level of trust, because we found our voices where we could find a different possibility of the future. And when we look back at the past of what wasn't working, what didn't work for us, and we really got to see that story in me as a microcosm doesn't work anymore, that story of the world, of the way that it's working, doesn't work anymore. We started to see a place of collective re-choosing. And that's what we kept hearing, this word, I am going to re-choose something different now, and I'm going to not re-choose that, I'm going to re-choose that, and I'm going to choose this. So it became this big powerful storytelling of, what are we letting go of? What are we no longer a stand for? What are we a stand for now? And how can we truly, truly reweave the sisterhood in a real way? Not just in I've got a t-shirt that says I'm for a sister. No, really guts and grit and blood, sweat and tears of that story, of that reweaving to come together to have an earth that looks very different and balanced than it does now. So again, I hope that was, I didn't come off point there, but that's how it felt. That's how it's been feeling for me. I don't know how it feels for you.
John, how is it for you when you go to this place?
Your question, because it made me frightened. It was sort of that fear of being right out at the edge. And I have to confess that I've been to that space most readily with the help of plant medicines. That's what immediately came to mind with your question. And I remember being, to use your metaphor, stood at the edge looking outwards, even recently, and two very powerful thoughts, two really powerful thoughts. The first was, I was struck by the immense gift of free will that we've been given. And I realized that in the past, I've been able to read that sentence, we have free will. But as you look out into a cosmos of such intelligence that everything has its purpose, And you realize that we've been given consciousness on a planet this beautiful, and we've been given the capacity to do as we will, have free will here. And you see that we're exercising that in both beautiful and terrible ways. And I was just touched by the depth of generosity that provides us as human beings with free will. And then when I allow myself to indulge the thought that I have free will here, what's over that edge, Puria, is just this immense playground, not playground for self-indulgent play, but a playground in which so much is possible, so much is available that we can dance inside. And the other thought that came to me when I stood on the edge was, it came to me actually as almost as an instruction. And it was in the context of an inquiry that I was making about how I, John, could support Sand in her work more fully, knowing that, as we had in the earlier questions, that's a fractal of a larger question about how the masculine can support the Lord. Men with women, I don't mean to reduce it to a gendered conversation, but and the message that came through and hit me almost like a hammer was, you have to want to give up that which you have control over and that which you exert control with. You have to want to give up. Not you have to give it up, which is not the same thing as having to want to give it up. And I realized that at that boundary, that the invitation is surrender. Surrender in the deepest way. And so I don't know if those two answers link up and somehow address the question, but they're the relevant place. And on that edge is where we can see amazing things.
Yeah.
Do you know? And I saw the role of the masculine, the role of men is so important, that men that we learn to show up as in our capacity to control the impulses that run through human beings. Most of the impulses that are acted out in the world by human beings are actually acted out through men. And no part of my training and upbringing taught me to be in control of those impulses, not to deny them, not to pretend they're not there, but to accept that as a man in this fractal universe, all of those impulses run through me somehow, not that man over there. And I have to see I'm all men and learn to be in control of those impulses in me. So it's a rich place to be. And I didn't think of it as the edge, the way you put it so beautifully, but it is. Thank you.
It's like you're so alive, isn't it? At the edge, if you're at the edge of something, you're live. You're. It's like I'm on the edge of a moment. I'm on the edge of a cliff. We're so alive. Everything's so alive, and we might think that aliveness is just fear, but it's not. It's passion. It's I'm alive. I've got a chance here. Is and we've I think we've come to, and I've seen this so much especially in my own body and with women that I support and support each other, is when I think we've come so far where we've separated passion for life, that we think that kind of vibrational frequency of feeling is fear. We've put so much in that bucket of thinking it's fear all the time, and not slowed down enough to say, is it really? Is it? What about, let's pull fear out. What else is going on in there? Well, I'm excited, but I'm scary excited. It's a moment. And, I don't know if I'm not a big lover of the big fairground rides I don't, but some people, when you're going up, and you're building all that and you're right at the top of the moment, and it's like, I'm scared, but you're not. It's like there's a passion of, I am alive right now. I am alive. And if we can more of it, that of like pulling fear, but having fear be a motivator to be, we're so alive in this moment, we can re-choose right now the trajectory of our humanity from a way that we that it's been going in. And if we are so alive, and even with fear, we can speak up a voice and say, no, you know, enough of going in that direction where we're not in service of life for everyone on this earth. So there is balance and equanimity and equality for everyone on this earth. I want to be a stand for that. And if it scares me to stand up and say that because of what will somebody think and what's somebody going to do, but we still do it anyway, that's the right on the edge. Can I be that one person that will stand up in an arena of 1,000, knowing that I might be ridiculed, ignored, even to some point, I might even lose my life. If I'm a stand for something, can I still find that aliveness enough in me, that my life was saying, I have to stand up now, even though I'm right on the edge and I have no idea what the next step in my life is going to take, I'm still going to take it anyway.
Yeah. And I definitely would say you have to give up your life. You will definitely lose this life. Because what I get when I go there, and I totally agree to this quality of excitement, and I just can sense that there is this possibility when I really dare to go there, and when I'm willing to let go of the version of what I think I am. I had two images rising up. One was there were wings growing out of me, but they only grow when I dare to let go of the version of who I think I am. So I need to give up my life. And the other image was many people would hold each other on their hands and would build a bridge. And one could walk over those people on this bridge, and you need to go quite a while, and only when you went over this bridge, so you use the other peoples and they are in service to you, they want that you use them as a bridge, then you can see another reality. So this were the two images which popped up when I went there with you together. Yeah.
Mm.
Ah, wow. Exciting. But Sand and John, we are almost at the end of our time together, and I know we could continue with that for hours. But Sand, I want to speak out an invitation, because I would like to really bring forth your capacity as a medicine woman and really bringing forth the feminine qualities in all of us, not just women, also men. And I would like you to talk to our audience, to include everyone who is now with us, who is really interested in moving through this challenge and crisis and new birth and going with us to the edge, and really speak to all of us to support and to bring up really into our expression, our unique feminine expression. Just in your way, in your sharing your medicine with us.
Maybe it's a moment here, Puria, and a moment for everyone now to, if you're watching this and you've stayed with us to this duration, maybe it's a moment here that we could lower our eyes for a moment and take out the visual of this TV screen, this Zoom call, and just come inside. I invite every one of us to come inside. and feel the breath that you're being breathed. And come home to yourself on the inside. And for some of us, it might be easier to place a hand on our heart, and for my sisters to place a hand on our bellies, on our womb, to reconnect with this deeper truth of who you really are inside. And know that inside of you, inside of me, inside of your sisters and brothers, 7 billion sisters and brothers on this planet, we all carry fear. We all carry uncertainty. And we all also carry love. And somewhere inside of you, you chose, your soul chose to be here on this earth at this time, as history has never, ever, ever been written in any history book of what's happening right now on this planet. But you're here. You came to take a life on this earth right now, whether you're a mother or a father or a son or a daughter, whatever your purpose is in this world, whatever your work is, whatever your expression is, life is living itself through you, because you made a choice a long time ago to be here on this earth at this time. And wherever it is inside of you, know that what I speak to be true, because you know this truth, that you did come here to play a role. It doesn't have to be a big role, a small role. It's not about the size of your role, but you did come here to play a role at the most magnificent, monumental time in our history ever, to help us to change the trajectory of this earth, to bring more balance on this earth, to bring more equality on this earth, to bring more love on this earth, to bring peace and joy. It all lives inside of you. And if that scares you, or if that confuses you, or if you're saying, I don't even know where to start, that's a beautiful place to start, because you're making the inquiry right now. And just know that there is somebody in your life that you can reach out a hand and say, I know I'm here for a reason. I know I'm here to express a life force that's inside of me in some way. Can you help me find that? And just as Puria brought that beautiful, beautiful visual image of a human bridge helping you to cross over from a place of the known into the place of the unknown, with help and support of sisters and brothers on this planet, sisters and brothers, perhaps even in your own life, your own family, your own community. And with your in-breath and out-breath, know that life has chosen you in this moment, in this lifetime, to help us change the course of our humanity, for every one of us to find that joy and balance, groundedness, equality, harmony, diversity, and love. Wherever my words took you or didn't take you, trust that. And it only takes one step, one baby step forward. And if you're listening to this and if you've chosen to be part of this summit, then I know your soul has come here to make a difference in this world. For your own life, for your family's life, your community's life. And somehow when you choose that, you're affecting all of life on this earth. Find your medicines inside of resilience and strength and courage, and take that very next step. And so it is.
Thank you, Sand. Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thank you, Puria.
Thank you, Puria. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everybody, tuning in, being carried away with our words, the atmosphere we created, the questions we thrown into the space, our images we shared, this beautiful invocation Sand just shared. And Sand, before we say bye-bye, do you want to say a few words how people can find you and join you and cry with you, laugh with you, expand with you?
I'd love any one of my sisters that are listening or watching right now. I'd love to invite them all of you, to be part of the Rise as She community. It really is a vibrant community of incredible women, and each one that comes through the door says a version of this in her own words. She says, "I've come home." So our door is wide open for you to come home and be with a community of sisters that will hold you, that will care for you deeply, and know that you're not in this alone. You don't have to be in this by yourself. You've got sisters here that really do link arms and support each other in the most profound ways. So our doors are open, always will be. Come on inside. For the women and for my brothers, you have a version of that with John, and might want to say a few words. So, but that's for the women. So come join us in Rise as She. It's a beautiful platform of live events and meditations and teachings and storytelling and very good practical support when we need it too. Yeah, we need that too. So come and join us, please. We'd love to have you there.
And John, what is your invitation?
If you follow the links to Sand's to the Rise as She community, you'll find links to the forum where we're creating a forum for men to have the conversation about what it is for us to support life, and particularly for us to support the emergence of the expression of feminine wisdom in the world. Fire and water.
Yes.
Fire and water in each of us, in all of us. How do we find fire and water in the right measures inside all of us? Mm-hmm. That's the big conversation that we want to participate in and stimulate in the world, and which sits so beautifully inside the container of thinking about the evolution of consciousness that you're holding there in all of these conversations. Yeah. And this is an important part of that.
Thank you. And I want to encourage you, if you have a resonance with these beautiful invitations, don't hesitate. Move towards these doors, which stay open for you. And thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing about the summit. I hope I see you in the next conversation. And I'm so thankful that you participate in that, because I'm so sure that the shift we are longing for, we need to make together. So thank you for coming together.